Well, wonderful good evening to everyone, and start of a new beautiful week as we are sponsored by A.B. Spry. We're sponsored by, for the physical, emotional, and spiritual protection of Yeshua Menachem Mendel ben Bela Shendel Rivka, by Baruch Ian Eli Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba Esther Bas Yona Avram ben Shmuel HaKain L'Fur Shalema Feliba Bas Anya, by Shalom Fogel, Lila Nishmas, Yaakov Zeb ben Yuda'aye, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, Yosef ben Tzim ben Yaakov Zeb, for Shalema, for Moshe Aye ben Minyamin, and a great Shidduch for Chaya Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel, by Berish Gesem, for Shalema, for Shoshana Bas Adina Chana, and by Mark Frankel, Lila Nishmas, his father, Yisrael Tzvi ben Chaim Yeshua Falak. We are holding Shelley. By the way, we didn't do anything yet. Did you find anything?
I didn't look for anything. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I think we should look for something. Something maybe about Yitzchak. About, or maybe about Yaakov and Esav's names,
I'll see what I can find.
Okay. So the Mishnah says, Shloisha Dvarim, three things are done on the southwest corner underneath the Chut HaSekra. So Chatas Oif had the Amr. The Chatas Oif, we said that we learn out Chatas from Mincha, and the Hagasha of the Mincha was done in the southwest corner. Hagashais, and the Hagasha of the Mincha, the Chsiv Igisha El Pnei HaMizbeach, we said that you bring it to the face of the Mizbeach, but it also says Lefnei Hashem. So how do you satisfy both the Pnei Mizbeach and Lefnei Hashem? So we said that that's the southwest corner. And Shori Adam, the remnants of the blood, well, we know that on Yom Kippur, the remnants of the blood was put as soon as you come out of the Oil Moed on the Yesod Maravis, on the western base. And therefore, normally, the pouring of the remnants you put to the corner when you come down from the ramp, which would be the southwestern corner. And Sha'adam d'chsives kala damapor yishpoichel yisoid hamizbeach, and that would be the base that you confront when you come down on the southwestern side. Milmala. Now we said there are three things that you do above on the southwest corner. Nisach HaMayim, the water libation, Vayayin, the wine libation, Va'olos ha'oif, and the burnt offering of the bird, Kishi Rabba b'mizrach. If there's too much traffic on the where we usually do it on the northeastern corner, so then we do it on the northwest corner. Now, so the Gemara first things first. The Gemara first deals with the fact that the Olos ha'oif, the preferable place would be the southeastern corner. Says the Gemara, my timer. What's the reason? Rabbi Yochanan Amar mipnei shekroiva mi beis hadeshen, because that's close to the place of ash. In the morning, there's a ritual where we do the Trumas Hadeshen, remove some ash, put it on the eastern side of the Mizbeach, and it miraculously absorbs into the ground. Now, in part of the procedure of the Olos ha'oif, the Kohen throws the crop and the feathers of the bird to the place of ashes. So therefore, the southeastern corner is closest to throw it to the place of ashes. So Gemara says, but when he does it on the northwestern corner, then he has to throw it, and it's very light. He has to throw it 30 amas, that's like 60 feet. To throw something that's very light 60 feet is not an easy thing.
It's almost impossible.
Well, you have to be a very strong guy. You have to be a strong guy. It would be impossible for you or me. But if you're the quarterback for the Giants, you might be able to do it, Who's the quarterback for the Giants? Who knows? Okay, nobody knows.
Y.A. Tittle.
Y.A. Tittle.
Sound like a nice Jewish boy. Yeah, right?
If you believe him, then I got 2 bridges and a tunnel to sell you. Now, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Bo'u re'eh kama gadol koichan shel kahana. Come and see how much is the strength of the kahana. She'ein lecha kal ba'oifus, there's no lighter part of birds, yoisem mimora v'noitza, than the crop and the feathers. Pa'amim, and there are times she'akayanim zorkain, the kain throws it to the place of ash, yoisem mibishloishim amma, on a diagonal of more than 30 amas. The Tanan. So here we're going to go through the steps of, first of all, where the Beis Hadeshin is. The Tanan, early in the morning, Natal Machto Shel Kesef, a Kohen who had won the lottery to do this privilege, Natal Machto Shel Kesef, he took a shovel of silver, v'olol l'roish hamizbeach, he went up to the top of the mizbeach, ufina es hagacholim elach ve'elach, and he moved away coals to the both sides, v'chata minamu kolais hapnimiyos, and he shoveled from that which was completely, the inner ones that were completely already digested. V'yored, and he would go down the ramp. Higil l'ritzpa, he reached the ground. Mauser panav klapei tzafin, turning to the north. V'haylech lemizrachai shel kevesh, and then he walked down to the east of the ramp. Ke'eser amas, he walked about 10 amas. Remember the ramp, which was 32 amas long. He walked about 10 amas. And he put these digested coals on the floor, and so he was 10 amas from the beginning of the ramp, and he did it he did it away from the ramp 3 tvachim, and that was the same spot that they threw the crop and the feathers of the Oilas Ha'if, and that's the place where they put the Dishon Mizbeach HaPnimi, the ashes from the inner altar after the Ketores was burnt up, and V'Menorah, and the ash from the menorah inside the Beis HaMikdash. So now we have to do some mathematics over here. The mathematics works as follows. We said that the ramp went into the middle of the Mizbeach. So since the width of the Mizbeach was 32, so the ramp is wide 16 amas. That means there is another 8 amas on either side of the ramp. When you deduct from those 8 amas, the amma of the Yesoid of the base, the Amma of the Sovev, the ledge, and Amma of the Keren. So you're left with 5 Ammas plus 16 Ammas of the width of the ramp. So when the Kayin stands by the northwestern corner, you remember the Oilas Oif, that's done Lamala Mechut HaSikra, above the Chut HaSikra. So he's standing on the top, on the northwest corner. When you calculate 5 Ammas to the ramp, and then another 16 Ammas, that gives you a side of 21 Ammas. Then we said that the place where we put the ashes was 10 Ammas up the ramp, right? Because he walked along the side of the ramp 10 Ammas. So of that 10 Ammas, if you deduct from the 32 Ammas of the ramp 10 Ammas, you get 22 Ammas. Plus the place where the Kayin is standing, that's 23 Ammas. So you have 2 sides over here, one side 23 Ammas and one side 21 Ammas. Now, if we want to figure how the Kayin threw it, he threw it along the diagonal of those 2 sides. If you make a triangle of those 2 sides, so the diagonal would be the diagonal of a triangle that's 21 by 23. Rashi says, to simplify it, instead of 21 by 23, we'll make it 22 by 22. To figure out the diagonal of a triangle that's 22 by 22, the theorem is this the Pythagorean theorem? Pythagorean theorem, right? So the way Rashi says the way Rashi doesn't do it that way. You'll talk to Michal Avram later, and he'll tell you his opinion. Rashi says that we times it by 1 2/5. We take the side of the triangle and we times it by 1 2/5. If you times it by 1 2/5, so 22 times by 1 2/5 is 30 4/5. Now, this is only it's only rounded off. So really it's more. And therefore the Gemara says, why does it say 30? In reality, if you do real numbers, it would be more than 31. So why do we say 30 4? Why do we say 30? Says the Gemara, we don't calculate the place where the person was standing, and therefore it is a smaller side of the triangle. Now, we said that when we go to the Mizbeach, we always turn to the right. Except in these cases, we turn to the left. So why over here, when we're going to the northwest corner, why don't we go counterclockwise all the way around to reach the northwest corner? Why do we go to our left? My timer, Amar Reb Yochanan, well, because remember, 2 of the 3 is Nesachim, the Nischa Yayin and the Nischa Mayim. Nesachim Shema Yisashnu, we don't want it to be smoked by going around. Remember, the fire is burning, and remember there were 3 pyres on the Mizbeach, right? And we don't want it to become smoked. The Oilas Ha'if, and when it comes to the burnt offering of the bird, Shema Thomas Ba'ashin, we don't want it to die from the smoke inhalation. Says the Gemara, Uraminu, we learned that not that way. We learned V'aloi lahakif es ha-mizbeach, when the Kohen is doing the libation, and he comes to do the rotation around the Mizbeach, Me'ayin hu maschel, From where does he start? No, he goes to the right. Mekaren Dreimus Mizrachas. He comes down, he goes by the ramp, and he goes to the southeastern corner, which is to the right. Mizrachas Tzvainis, then the northeastern corner, then Tzvainis Maravas, then the northwest corner, and then Maravas Dreimus, and then the southwest corner. So you see, he does the rotation counterclockwise to the right. And then V'noisnu lo yayin lanasech, and we hand there to him the wine to be Manasseh. Says the Gemara, no, that's talking about a kohen that was multitasking. If he was multitasking and he was going around anyway because he was putting something on the Mizbeach, so then he does the full rotation. In order for the wine not to get smoke damage, then they hand him the wine when he arrives at the southwest corner. On Rabbi Yochanan says, HaKafa Beregel, there it's talking about that the kohen did it without holding the wine. He did it right feet because he was doing something else anyway. And Amar Rava, we know that he doesn't take the wine because Dekanami Diktani Noisna no Yayin Lanasech. We give him the wine to the libation, but like Katani Oima Loy Nasech. We don't say do the libation. Shema Mina that he wasn't holding the wine. If he's holding the wine, he doesn't go that way because of worrying about smoke damage. Kan Rabbanan. Kala Oilin the Mizbeach. Whoever goes up to the Mizbeach, Oilin Derech Yamin, he goes up to the right. The Yordin Derech Smel comes down to the left. Oilin Derech Mizrach goes up towards the east because that's the right, the southeastern corner, and then the northeastern corner, etc. The Yordin Derech Mariv, and comes down by way of the west. Chutz min ha'oila l'shloisha dvarim, except where he goes up for those three things, alalu, the yayin esech, the mayim, the nischei mayim, and the oilas oif, where chutz min ha'oila l'shloisha dvarim halalu she'oilin derech mariv, he goes by the way of the west, v'yordin derech mariv, oilin derech yamin, he comes up to the right. The Yordin Derech Yamin. So the Gemara says, what do you mean he comes up to the right? He comes up to the left. That's the whole idea, that he goes to the west, he comes up to the left, not to the right. Derech Yamin? Derech Smalu. That's to the left. Says the Gemara, it's always a matter of perspective. It's to the Kayen's left, but it's to the right of the Mizbeach. If you're looking at it from the vantage point of the Mizbeach, it's to the right. Right? We always say that, the mezuzah is to the right, right? But the mezuzah is to the right only from outside the house. Right? From inside the house, the mezuzah is on the left. It depends what your vantage point is. So over here, it is taka, to you, it's to your left. But if you're standing on the mizbeach, it's the right. And that's what the Gemara says, it's relative. So first the Gemara's answer is simple, amend it. Amar Ravina Tani Smol. Rava Amar, no, my Yamin the Mizbeach, that's the right of the Mizbeach, or my Smol the Gava, the left of the Kohen. Says Gemara, but that's not consistent with the beginning, because in the beginning it says that he goes up to Yamin. So there it's talking about the Yamin of the Kohen. So why when it says he comes down, it says to the right, which is the right of the Mizbeach? So the Gemara says, "V'nisnei oy v'aydi the Mizbeach, oy v'aydi the Gavra." Says the Gemara, "Taka, that's a kasha. That's a kasha on the second shot. It's better to amend and change it to small instead of saying Yamin." Okay, I could be a mensch over here. Welcome in A.B. Spry, Mel Zachter, Barchian, Marshall Castle, who's been having a rough time. Marshall, it's much better to come to this year. Yaakov Warman. Oh, yeah. Marshall, you have you have your own Chevra Kadisha there?
Not my own personal one, but
I'm saying the town has.
The city has, yeah.
Are you ever part of it, or that's not something that you do?
That's not something I do.
I did it once in my life. Very interesting story. I was a scholar in residence in New Haven, Connecticut, by Rabbi Avigdor's shul. And there was a community chasana that night, and the entire Chevra Kadisha went out of town to the chasana. And somebody died. And there was no one to do the Tara. So the Rav and I did the Tara. It's the only time I did a Tara. It is a sobering experience. We welcome in Yaakov Warman and Shalom Fogel, Menachem Yamansky, Saba, Yitzi Fuchs, Rabbi Kranz, Yisrael Fisher. I can't get it straight if you're in Tannersville, if you're in Brooklyn. You're mixing me up, you know. Will the real Yisrael Fisher please stand up? Shimon Klein, Shelley Zeitlin, Irving Fishbaum, Elia Yaffe, Barry Cement, Michal Akta. No, who is that? Oh, Victor Fried. Victor Fried sitting with a very big Gemara there. And Michal Akta, Eddie Chazan, Mo Kushner. Eddie looks very relaxed. He must have had a big haul tonight. Ben Zion Cohn, Dr. Guy, Moshe Lehman, Stephen Holtzman, Richard Rosenzweig. Richard, maybe one time we'll be zeicher to see you a little bit. We miss you. We miss you. It's such a schia to have Richard. Richard, you know, I was mentioning my presidents, my choshev presidents of the Agudas Yisrael of Staten Island. I had one year I was zeicher to have Richard Rosenzweig as my president.
It was my honor, otherwise.
It's already a long time ago, Richard, right?
1999, 2000.
Wow. It's more than a quarter of a century.
Yep.
Wow. Isn't that amazing to think about that?
It flies. It flies.
You know, I said on Shabbos, I just made a fleeting reference, but when I usually bench Reish Chodesh. When I bench Reish Chodesh, so I said, could you imagine? We're already talking about Hanukkah.
Right.
People are just still thinking about, you know, the summer and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and we're already facing Hanukkah. You got to use.
Start baking matzahs.
You got to use.
Baking matzahs.
That's the cycle of time, and it's true. They do that.
We're still eating them.
My sukkah's up.
Yeah,
My
okay.
Moyle hasn't put down the knife yet.
Stephen Holtzman, Nachman Chapler, Yitzi Muller, Avram Zepkowitz, Ilya Schutten, Abe Arbach, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Naftali Jablin, Moshe Lehman, and here in the shul, we have Berish Gesseman and Gedalia Engel, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram Chavin, Danny Vogel, Yehuda Solomon, Ruvain Shannet. Okay, we're missing some people over here in the shul. We need you back. Rebellion.
Is Irving on tonight? Is Irving on?
No, Irving is not on. Oh, yes, he is. Irving Fishbaum. Yes, he is. Sure he is. Right there next to the bridge.
Is that the one you sold?
No, I didn't sell that one. That I sold already a few weeks ago. Okay, new Mishnah. Chatas oif. So the sin offering of the bird is a whole procedure. It's a whole different thing. There's no knife. There's no shchita. It's done with the nail of the thumb. You have to go through the bone. This is, as we'll see, this is from one of the hardest and most dexterous avodas in the Beis Hamikdash. Chatas oif ketzad, it's not for the faint-hearted. Not for the faint-hearted. Chatas oif ketzad oyanasis. So hayamoilik es roisha mimul arpa, they would pinch the neck from the nape. Ve'enoi mavdil. This was a halacha by the Chatas Ha'oif that you weren't allowed to divide the head from the rest of the body. And then umaze midama al kiram mizbeach. And then you would squeeze for the blood on the wall of the mizbeach. This was done. The Chatas Ha'oif was done under the Chut HaSekra. Shari Adam, the remnant of the blood, hayamitzmatza al yisayid, would squeeze and drain down to the base. Ve'ein lemizbeach eladama. No meat of the Chatas Ha'oif went on the mizbeach. The mizbeach only got its blood, and v'kula lekan. The rest of the meat went all to the kahanim. It was kachei kachim, so only to the zichrei kahuna. Tan Rabbanan. Now, this is a most unusual procedure. The finger is not put into blood. The blood is not caught in a keli. Rather, Tan Rabbanan, the hiza midam achatas, he sprays from the blood of the chatas, miguf achatas. He sprays, he waves the bird, and the blood sprays from the body of the chatas. Haketzad, oiches beroish ubaguf. He holds on to the head and the body. He doesn't want it to come apart. Omazeh, and he sprays it from the cut. Al kira mizbeach, on the wall of the mizbeach. V'loy al kira kevish, not the wall of the ramp. V'loy al kira eichel, not the wall of the temple. V'loy al kira ulam, not the wall of the antechamber. Ve'ezeh, what part of the wall? Zeh kira tachtan. That's under the Chut HaSikra. Oh, eina yela kira elyon. Maybe it's above the Chut HaSikra. And we could say an argument. V'dinu. O ma behema. By an animal, sha'ilasa lamata. The burnt offering goes below the Chut HaSikra. Chatasa lamala, but a chatas behem is above the Chut HaSikra. Oif sha'ilasa lamayla. An oif that the burnt offering is above the Chut HaSikra. Einay din shechatasa lamala. So surely the chatas oif should be above the Chut HaSikra. Talmud leima v'anisher badam. That which is left over, the blood, yimotze al yisoid hamizbeach, drains to the base. Now, if you would do it above the Chut HaSikra, it wouldn't drain to the base, it would drain onto the ledge. Here, the wall, shashirin shaloi, mitzmatzin liyisoid, it drains to the yisoid. Ve'ezeh zeh kirat tachtai. So the Gemara says, but what's the raya? Maybe you should spray it first above, and then the rest you let drain to the bottom. V'navin me'iloi, first spray it above the Chut HaSikra, like we do by the Chatas Behemoth, because of the Kal V'chaimer, and then v'hader navin mitatoi, and then press the rest of it and let it go drain to the base. Amarava, so the Gemara says over here, a real grammatical diak. Amakra miksiv yematzeh, he should squeeze. Yematzeh ksiv, it should drain by itself. The memela mashma, that means that when you spray it, it should drain by itself. The initial spraying should drain by itself, and it can't drain by itself when the sovev is in the way. So you can't do it above, you have to do it below. Now, Amarav Zutra Bartuvia Amarav Ketzad Molkin Chatas Ha'oif. Okay, so now we're going to get the nuts and the bolts of the Malika over here. Now, Oiches Gapav, we're going to learn now that the Kayin takes, we're going to learn like the Rambam. We'll make it a little easier because we don't want Michal Avram to get a headache. Make it a little easier. He's going to hold the bird in his left hand. To have him try to do everything with the right hand is almost impossible to consider. So he holds the bird in his left hand with the stomach down, face down on his palm. Oiches gapav b'shtei etzbais. Now he holds the wings in place with two fingers. He holds them with his middle finger and the index finger. Right? There's a lot of names to that finger. Right? The index finger is the same as the forefinger, right? Right? It's known as also as the forefinger. Right? Right. That's correct. We said that's the most dexterous of the fingers. So he holds the wings down using those two fingers. Ushtei raglayim b'shtei etzbais. And he holds in place the 2 feet with his the pinky and the finger next to the pinky, the ring finger, right? Then umayseach tzavorai al roichev godolai, and he stretches out the neck along the width of his thumb, umolka, and then he takes his right thumb and goes through the nape and the bone and does the malika. Now, this method is at least conceivable. It's still considered a tremendous avodah to do with the thumb breaking through the siman and through the bone. But Taisvis argues on the Rambam. And Taisvis says that he did it all with his right hand and still managed to do the malika with the thumb of his right hand at the same time of holding the bird. Now Yehuda Solomon said that's for the birds. I know, but... B'masnisa Tana, the Braisa has a different positioning. B'masnisa Tana tzipra milavar, that the bird wasn't sitting on the palm, the bird was positioned on the back of his hand. And oiches gapav b'shtei etzbais, again he holds the wings with 2 fingers, ushnei raglayim b'shtei etzbais, and the 2 feet with 2 fingers, umoisech tzavoro al roichev shtei etzbais, and he stretches the throat over the width of 2 fingers, umaylik, and he performs the malika, v'zu avodah kasha shebemikdash, and this was the hardest avodah in the mikdash, according to Taisus, that he did it all with one hand, according to the Rambam, that he used the thumb and his nail to go through both the siman and the bone. So the Gemara says, Zui v'sulai, this is the hardest and not anything else, but we know that there's another legendary 2 hard avodas in the Beis HaMikdash. V'ika kmitza v'chafina, there's the taking of the kmitza. Now the taking of the kmitza, where you take your 3 fingers and you cup it, and you push it through the flour, and you have to get the exact amount. It can't be any less or any extra.
Of your 3 fingers?
Yeah. And you level it with your thumb and your pinky to get the exact amount was very hard. And then there's the chafina. The chafina already, we know that when going into the Kodesh Kodashim, he had a machta, a shovel of incense. And that had to be propelled into the cup of his 2 hands. Now, if he's cupping his 2 hands, how does he get to rotate the contents of the shovel into his 2 hands? So, some say he dexterously guides it with his thumbs and turns it around, and nothing could fall on the floor. Others say that he uses his mouth, and Gedalia will give us a demonstration one time, when he's more awake, Gedalia, we can make an appointment for that,
Why
Yeah.
was it done like this? This is like an almost impossible.
The answer is that they trained for it.
Okay.
They trained for it, and they did. It showed expertise to do the Ratzon Hashem. It's like a good drasha. A good drasha, you have to train for a good drasha.
Right, question. With the kalitza, wouldn't it depend on the size of the Kohen's hand?
It does.
It's all the,
It does. It goes according to the Kohen. Yes.
that's right. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, this was one of a few of the very difficult avodas in the mikdash. Now, says the Mishnah, this is a very long Mishnah. What was the procedure of the burnt offering of the bird? The Kohen went up the ramp. Now here, he turned, remember we said there was an ancillary ramp that went to the ledge. Because remember, the Olas Ha'if was done Lamala Michut HaSikra. Baloi Lekeren Draimus Mizrachis, he came to the southeastern corner. Hayamolikes Roisha Mimul Arpa, he went through the neck by the nape. Umavdil, here he separates. Here by Oila, he has to separate the head from the body. Umitza es dama al kira mizbeach, and he squeezes the blood onto the wall of the mizbeach. Natalas haraish, then he takes the head. Remember, he divided the head. He takes the head. V'hikav beis milikasal mizbeach. He presses the place of the incision against the mizbeach, and then usfagay mamelech, he saturates it with salt. Uzrakai al gabei yishim, and throws it to the fires. Baloi lekuf, he comes to the body of the bird. Veheser es hamura ve'es hanoitza. He removes the crop and the feathers. Ve'es habnei ha'ma'ayin hayotzim imam, and the entrails that come with them. Ve'shlichon lebeis hadeshin, that he throws, as we mentioned, to the place of ash, which is on the side of the eastern side of the mizbeach. Shisa v'loi hivdil, he tears open the body, he doesn't separate it. V'im hivdil kosher, if he separates it, it's okay. Soif gei b'melech, he saturates it with salt. Uzrakai al gabei yishim, and he throws it on the fire. If he didn't remove the crop and the feathers and the entrails, or he didn't saturate it with salt, any deviation after he successfully pressed the blood against the wall, sheira, that's kosher, because the dam is mechaper. Hivdil b'chatas, if he separated the body and the head by a chatas, or v'loy hivdil ba'ila, or he didn't separate ba'ila, that's possible. Mitza es dama raish, if he pressed the blood of the head, v'loy mitza dama guf, but he didn't press the blood of the body, psula. Dama guf, but if he pressed the blood of the body, v'loy mitza dama raish, even though he didn't press the blood of the head, ksheira. Chatas, I remember, by a chatas, Shaloi Lishma is disqualifies. It's not only true by an animal, but it's true also by a oif. Chatas ha'oif shemolka Shaloi Lishma. Chatas ha'oif that the malika was done Shaloi Lishma, or even if Lishma v'Shaloi Lishma, or Shaloi Lishma Lishma. Either way, once there is a machshava of Shaloi Lishma, it's possible. Possible. By an Ayla, Shaloi Lishma doesn't disqualify, it's Le'alu L'Baal L'Shem Chayva, they're going to have to bring another carbon. Ayla Sa'if Ksheira, U'Bavad Shaloi also L'Baal L'Shem Chayva. they don't fulfill their obligation. Now, let's talk about pigel. Pigel, if you remember, is you do an avoida, like the malika, or like the pressing of the blood, with a machshava to eat it or smoke it up after its time. So echad chatas oif echad oilas oif shemlokan v'shemitza es daman lechel davar shedarka lechel, to eat that which is usually eaten, or lahakter davar shedarka lahakter, or to smoke up that which is usually smoked up. So if you had in mind to do it chutz l'mekaymeh, that's not a kares offense. If you had in mind to do it chutz l'mekaymeh out of its place, puzzle, the aim by kares. If you had in mind to do it chutz l'zmanai, after its time, that's pigel, the chayovin olav kares. However, remember we said that it's only kares if you did everything else correct. You didn't do any other psul. So you did everything else correct. Keitzad karav amatik mitzvah. So what's an example with this kares? Because you did everything else proper except with a machshav of chutz l'zmanai. Malak b'shtika, if you did the malika quietly, and then umitza adam chutz l'zmanai, you press the blood with a machshava to eat it after its time, or oishe malak chutz l'zmanai, umitza adam b'shtika, you press the blood b'shtika, or you did everything just with the machshava of chutz l'zmanai, oishe malak umitza adam chutz l'zmanu, zeu shekar v'amatik mitzvah, so you didn't do anything else, and that would be, if you eat from it, an iser kares. Keitzad loy karav amatir k'mitzvasai. What's considered where you didn't do it k'mitzvasai? Molak chutz l'mekaymeh. You did the malika with a machshava chutz l'mekaymeh. That's a different psul. And then mitzadam chutz l'zmanai. Oishe molak chutz l'zmanai. You had a machshava of pigel, but then mitzadam chutz l'mekaymeh. You had a different psul. Oishe molak mitzadam chutz l'mekaymeh. So you didn't have a machshava of pigel at all. Or if it was a chatas oif, you had a machshav shaloi l'shmai, which is a different psul. Chatas oif shemolker shaloi l'shma, or mitza adam chutz l'zmanai, or shemolak chutz l'zmanai machshav pigel, but then mitza dama shaloi l'shma, or shemolak mitza dama shaloi l'shma, zeu shaloi karav amater k'mitzvah. So there, since you had another machshava psul besides the pigel, there's no iser kares. Now, lechel kazayis b'chutz, kazayis l'macher. Let's say you had in mind to eat a kazayis outside and a kazayis l'macher. Now, kazayis l'macher is a machshav of pigel, but kazayis b'chutz is a psul. Or kazayis l'macher and kazayis b'chutz. Or kechatzi zayis b'chutz and kechatzi zayis l'macher. So you didn't have a full kazayis of a machshav of pigel. Or kechatzi zayis l'macher, kechatzi zayis b'chutz. So there, since you didn't have a full kazayis with a machshava of pigel, puzzle the aim by kares. Rabbi Yehuda, he disagrees. As we learned by Behema, Rabbi Yehuda says once it's locked into an iser kares, it can't be taken out of an iser kares. So it says it depends what you had in mind first. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, zeh klal, im machshavas hazman kodma l'machshavas hamakram. If you had in mind to eat it chutz l'zman, which is pigel, before you had in mind the machshava of chutz l'mekaymeh. Once you had a machshava of pigel, it's locked in to be kares, you can't take it away. Pigel v'chayav v'lav kares. But v'im machshavas hamakram kodma l'machshavas hazman. But if the machshava of chutz l'mekaymeh is before the machshav of zman, so once it's disqualified, now it can't become pigel. Pasal v'ein by kares. The Chacham say even if you have the machshav of kares first, but if you have another psul, it's not karav matik mitzvah, and it's not kares. The Chacham zeh pasal v'ein by kares. The final din is if you have in mind to eat a half a zayis outside of its time, and to smoke up a half a zayis after its time, the achila of a human and the achila of a mizbeach don't combine. And therefore, if he has in mind lechel kechatzi zayis, ulahakter kechatzi zayis kosher. Why? She'ein achila, a human consumption, v'aktara, and the consumption of the mizbeach, mitzdarfen, they cannot combine. Okay.